There's a world in watchmaking that doesn't care about billboards, celebrity ambassadors, or waiting lists like nightclubs. No velvet ropes, no champagne theatrics, just obsession distilled into metal. This is where one person, sometimes a handful, spends years obsessing over a single idea, not because it'll sell, but because it should exist. These are watches made in quiet workshops, often by people you've never heard of, and yet they're the reason collectors lose sleep. Welcome to the secret world of independent watchmaking. Independent sounds romantic, like a guy in a cabin making watches by candlelight. Sometimes it's not far off. But independence here isn't just about scale, it's about control. No corporate overlords, no committees debating whether a dial color will trend well in Q4. Just the watchmaker and their stubborn refusal to compromise. Take Philippe Dufour. The man is basically a ghost. Doesn't do marketing, doesn't chase hype, but his finishing, it's so precise it borders on offensive, like he's showing everyone else what they should be doing. Collectors talk about his simplicity like it's a religious artifact, and honestly, they're not entirely wrong. Here's the part that doesn't make sense. These watches are expensive, painfully so, and yet the people making them aren't exactly scaling like tech startups. Because this isn't about growth, it's about control.
For this year, the winner and much deserved of this incredible prize is Akribia.
On appelle Rexhep Rexhepi, qui est fondateur d'Akribia, qui nous rejoint. Bravo.
Le jury ne s'est pas trompé en attribuant le...
Rexhep Rexhepi started young, shockingly young, and built a reputation not by being loud, but by being impossibly good. His watches don't scream, they whisper. And somehow that whisper echoes louder than most brands shouting into the void. Then there's Kari Voutilainen, a perfectionist in the purest sense. His dial alone, layered, hand finish, quietly complex. You don't notice everything at first glance, and that's the point. Not all independents are subtle. Some of them look like they came from a parallel universe where time is measured differently. Urwerk doesn't make watches, they make arguments against tradition, against expectation, against the idea that a watch has to look like a watch. MB&F, same story. Machines that feel alive. Mechanical sculptures that somehow also tell the time, almost as an afterthought. And then there's Konstantin Chaikin, who decided watches should have faces. Literally. His Joker watch stares back at you like it knows something you don't. It's absurd. It's brilliant. It works. Not every independent is trying to reinvent time. Some are trying to preserve it. Laurent Ferrier creates watches that feel calm, balanced, like they've already outlived trends that haven't even happened yet. Grunefield brothers, they treat steel like it's precious metal. Their finishing is obsessive, almost surgical. Roger Smith, working out of the Isle of Man, continues the legacy of George Daniels. And that's not a small sentence. That's like being handed the keys to a cathedral and being told, don't mess it up. And he didn't. He made him proud. Now, not every independent will cost you a house. Some, emphasis on some, will offer you a way in. Kurono Tokyo, led by Hajime Asaoka, brings the slice of independent watchmaking into a somewhat more reachable world. Still thoughtful, still deliberate, just slightly less financially destructive. Then you have Moser Cie, minimalist but with a sense of humor. Swiss watchmaking with just enough irreverence to keep things interesting. They've made watches with no logos, no indices. Sometimes you wonder if they're testing you. They probably are. And then there's FP Journe, a brand that somehow lives in both worlds, independent in spirit, but with a following that borders on intense. Collectors don't just buy Journe, they study it, track it, debate it. There's a written account from collectors describing the first time they handled a Journe Chronomet Blue, how it felt heavier than expected, quieter than expected, like it didn't need your attention, but you gave it anyway. And that's the trick. These watches don't chase you chase them. So, why does any of this matter? Why care about a handful of people making watches most will never own? Because this is where ideas survive. Independence are where risks are taken, where traditions are protected, where the soul of watchmaking hasn't been diluted into quarterly reports. They remind us that timekeeping isn't just about precision, it's about expression. And maybe, just maybe, it's about leaving something behind that ticks long after you're gone. And if you're paying attention, you'll realize it was never really about time. Scratches are honesty, patina is history. For vintage pieces, viva patina.